Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How's everyone doing?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. How's everyone's week coming along?
Wonderful as well.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Wins, aha moments for the week? Getting better?
I had it. I even memorized it, and now I went blank. Well, I guess one of my aha moments was can I put it? When, man, I literally had it all in my head. Well, growth. So I want to say one of the ones that I had was I looked in the mirror and I was telling myself, remember who you are. Who are you? And I was looking in both eyes while I'm saying this, right? And a flood of memories came back to me when I was younger. I'm an inventor. I'm a creator. I reverse engineer everything that I do. I create. I even created the job that I have right now. 2 years ago, I didn't want to work with a bunch of people that I did not want to be around. And I ended up creating something out of nothing. So it all came back to me as a flood of all the ideas. I feel more alive right now. I feel like I want to express more. I've had a great couple of days. And yesterday, one of my guys, they called me for a valve. And they said, we needed rush order. We're getting it done. About an hour later, he says, cancel that. And I look at my guy and I said, he'll call me back. He's going to need it. Not even 30 seconds later, the one that they found in the field, they're going to need it. And he looked at me kind of weird. And I started laughing. I said, don't worry about it. So then I told him, Google this. And the exact words that I told him to do, he typed in and he just looked at me. He was kind of scared. I said, don't be scared. It's nothing. It's just think positive. And the radio was kind of going staticky in the shop. And I go, radio, fix yourself. It's like playing with him. And he looked at the radio scared and it did it. And I go, what would you have done if it would have fixed itself? He goes, I was ready to run. I go, don't. It's nothing scary. It's just positive. Be positive. And I feel more energized, more alive, like happy right now.
Good. That's awesome. The law is exact. If you would have, if you would have, that's the big question. If a lot of people read, but they really don't read. If you would have unlimited peace, poise, and power, you must accept your oneness. You must make your acceptance with it wholeheartedly. That it blends with you and you blend with it. If spirit is consciousness, nothing exists except as a part of its consciousness. You are consciousness. Consciousness demonstrates itself. Spirit is the life, the law, and the substance of all form. Now, when you really think about that, who is my imagination? Who is thinking? Relative to what that we think about? Who is my imagination? Now, the average individual is 3 I ams or more, but the main predominant ones. The am that I think that you think I am. Think about that. The am that I think that you think I am. So the minute I see you and I think of you thinking of me, I think of the me that you think that I am. That's one I am. And then the am that I think I am or am not. Majority of the time, it's the am nots. And then the third one's going to be the am, the I am that the environment created in me. So let's go through those again. So the first one was the I am that I think that you think I am. And then I respond to you, and I respond to things, and I respond to different people, different situations, different parts. So to every individual that I think that you think that I am, I respond differently. Therefore, I think differently. And then the am that I think I'm not. The am that I think I am. And then I'm not, back and forth as I think. And then the I am that the environment created in me. And then we go to spirit is consciousness. Nothing exists except as it is. A part of its own consciousness. You are consciousness. Consciousness demonstrates itself. Spirit is the life, the law, and the substance of all form. When you realize the unity of self and consciousness, spiritual self. When you start to realize the self, the personality self, and then the spiritual self. When you realize your unity. With the I ams and the true self. You begin to understand consciousness. This is very powerful. You begin to understand life and the law of demonstrations of consciousness. The unity, you begin to realize the unity you have. Comprehension of consciousness. Takeaways.
You have to be all three have to match, right? What you're saying, like
Yes, they do.
they all
Because
have
if
to match.
not,
So yeah. So what I was seeing in my head the other day, and I was trying to focus this. Have you ever seen, imagine like triple, quadruple vision, blurry vision. And I started harmonizing it to one solid piece together, like making the picture clear in my head of who I am. Like I saw myself looking at myself, but like in different, not different versions, but like in blurred separation. And I started pulling myself together into one.
Good. You're understanding consciousness. You're understanding the unity or the conflict. So what we're understanding is the demonstrations of consciousness. And sometimes it's disparity of not knowing who it is. Who is my imagination? Who is thinking? When we don't understand self, we have conflict. We have what they call duality. And duality is what?
Multiple thinking.
Yeah, separation of consciousness. Where do you think we find our follies?
Mm. Yeah, and I used to try to fit in with everybody. I tried to blend in, and I would try to retain my awkwardness, my weirdness. But now I don't care. It's not my problem. It's theirs.
Yep. The follies, I would say they're not I don't like the word failure. I use folly because it's something that maybe we didn't anticipate or really want, but that's what the outcome looked like. Now there's no failure, there's just cause and effect. But the better we understand consciousness, the better we understand the duality of consciousness and the infractions that we have, the demonstrations that we have that we don't understand or we may not like. But if we really look for the cause, we will find the duality in self. There was nothing outside of us. The duality was from within. So duality means different I ams. Do it, don't do it. Have it, don't have it. I ain't capable, I'm not capable. It's possible, it's not possible. What do you think that is?
Subconscious.
Yeah.
But,
let's go ahead.
So I had another thing. So I could have sworn when I was remembering everything, I had passed through the street that I live on, the house that I live in. And I remember telling my wife years ago, I want a house like that. And I could have sworn it's this house. And I told her, imagine how it would feel if they found oil underneath the house in town. And everybody that I told, they're like, no, it's impossible. Nobody gives up their, when you buy a house nowadays, nobody gives up the mineral rights. I found this house out of all the houses I found, and I was able to get the mineral rights, and they found oil underneath my house. And now I have a guy chasing me for a check when I felt that there was oil underneath this house.
Accident?
I had that faith and that feeling that it was there.
What are we taking away? What are we understanding?
That we created it.
Yeah, the man's chief disillusion is believing that there is something outside of ourselves. Change, there must be a change in consciousness before you can change your outer world. You must first want to be different. But that's the progress of change. That's the progress of the duality. That's the progress of consciousness. The evolution of consciousness is wanting to be different, to want to not to be yourself, because the self was really not you. The self was, on a general rule of thumb, if you think about the self, who is the I am that's been creating my reality, and you really start to think about it, the average individual, the true I am that's been really creating and designing their world has been the environmental I am. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, we just didn't know it, right? Well, we were asleep to it.
Yep. And when we look at demonstrations of consciousness, what we're seeing is the unity. Or when you see that something works out, good or bad, you're seeing the unity of consciousness and its demonstrations and what it's okay with at the moment. The production of our reality as we see it is a unification of mind and matter, and it worked. It's been working. That means consciousness has been thinking stuff into form. If you don't believe me, look around. All matter as you see it was first rearranged in the mind. All matter. Thoughts, takeaways?
It's like you said at one time. A man can go to 20 different jobs. His outcome will still be the same no matter what. He'll blame the people, he'll blame everybody. And I'm looking at this from the outside in, from other people's perspective. I'm seeing other people's actions and I'm seeing what their results are. So I started saying, no, that's not for me. I'm not thinking that way. I'm not thinking that way. I'm not thinking that way. And I thought that it was the whole environment that was making me think like that, or the outcomes were coming like that. Until I changed that, I'm telling you, these last couple of weeks, I did a little bit of experiments these last 2 weeks. Last week, I fasted. And man, I thought I was going to pass out, faint. As a matter of fact, when we went to when I was there on Thursday, I was fasting and I said, I'll talk to you tomorrow because I really felt like I was going to faint. I drove fast to Rosa's to get something to eat because and my wife was like, what are you doing? You haven't done it you've never done it, but now you're trying to go a whole day without eating. So I felt a little weak. But when I ate that before, it tasted really good. And then this week, I started taking a shower in kind of cold water to try to wake me up. And it feels like where it goes back to gratitude. Wow, we have hot water. Not a lot of people in other countries have that hot water that we get to enjoy every day. So I'm trying like different things to see, like on gratitude, different experiments for myself to see how I feel or what I think about it before I take anybody else's thought or opinions. Like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm doing it before I do that.
Yep. So it's important to really think, not let anyone else do your thinking for you. Cold showers in the morning are really good. It's good for the soul. Goals are good for the soul. Goals purify the soul. The goals are not to get, but as you begin to accomplish the goal, win the goal, acquire the goal.
We don't make weight.
What you're doing is you're purifying the beliefs that were there once before. Goals, targets are our way of purifying our consciousness, evolving, evolution, growing, becoming, disciplining, rearranging a new order we call life. Now we're this month is we're going through organized planning. You will never organize a thing or plan a thing unless you believe you can acquire it. Now, why is it that very few people really organize or plan a thing? Because very few people really believe that they can acquire something beyond what they know how to do. What separates consciousness, one man's consciousness, from another man's consciousness? Beliefs. What makes people different? Environment and beliefs. Let's go to the three I ams. The I am that I think that you think I am. Yes. The I am that I think I am and I am not. And then the I am that the environment created. Very profound. But when you really realize that your true I am is actually spiritual consciousness, that's power. Therefore, allowing you to understand that you can rearrange any order that you desire. Organize, plan, desire, want, formulate, create, advance, achieve, experience, to see yourself outside of yourself. That's a beautiful statement. When we truly begin to understand that life was about experiencing, we came here to experience. To experience. A lot of people trying to get closer to God, trying to get closer to Spirit. They didn't understand they were already there. The other I ams were thinking. The other I ams were thinking. Very interesting. I'm going to go into a video here. You guys to take notes and really think about what you're thinking about. And really think about what you've been thinking about. Because what you've been thinking about will probably fall into those three categories. The other one would be fourth dimensional. Right? Or 3D, three-dimensional. The average human is so three-dimensional, he lives in his 3D world, observing, comprehending, thinking, always thinking outside of himself and never from within. Never to realize who he is. But the fourth degree of gives you a better understanding of who I am is your spiritual consciousness. And you can rewrite and become anything you want. Let's take a look at this. It's an old video, Bob.
To look for the answer. They want to know, what is it out there? You attended seminars, and you said your reason there was to learn more about yourself.
Yeah.
My experience has been people attend seminars, especially self-development seminars, to look for the answer. They want to know, what is it out there I can learn so that I can be more successful? That wasn't your motivation?
No, oddly enough. And I think probably you're right. I think that's what most people are looking for. I think they're looking for an answer outside of themselves, and they're never going to find it. I think by this time I realized it was something in me. I met a man here in Toronto. He was one that originally got me involved in studying this, Ray Stanford. And he told me if I didn't like the results I was getting in my life, that I was going to have to change me because they were my results. And he said, if you're going to change you, you're going to have to find out something about yourself. And that seemed to make sense. I don't think it was an earth-shattering idea. It wouldn't give anybody a brain hernia, but it made a hell of a lot of sense to me. So I started to study myself. I found most people don't know who they are. They really don't.
What do you mean? I mean, I know my name, I know my age, I know where I live.
That's not you, though. You know, that's just it. If you ask the average person who they are, they'll give you their name. They'll say, I'm Bob Proctor, but I'm not. Bob and Proctor are two words. My parents give them to me. They're called names, but it's not me. It's my name. Then somebody will say, well, this is me, but this isn't me either. It's my body. Like, you never phone down here to the studio and say, body won't be in today. It's sick.
Okay.
You know, we don't say am hand or am leg. It's my hand, my leg, my body, my name. Who am I? Well, that's an interesting question. And I believe if a person will start to study that, and look for the answer, they'll find it. See, I think we live simultaneously on three planes of understanding. We're spiritual creatures, we have an intellect, and we live in physical bodies.
Okay.
But because we lack awareness or understanding of who we are, we're totally locked into a physical world, and we let things outside of us control us. 95% of the population are reacting to life. They're not really living at all.
Okay. And would you call that one of the barriers to success?
Oh, there's no question about it. I think there's two barriers. Success is a funny word. Nightingale had a great definition for it. He said a person's successful if they know where they are, and they know where they're going, and they're progressively moving in that direction. He said that success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Anyone that has a goal and they're moving towards it, they're successful. Most people think that you're successful if you have a lot of money. Quite often you have a lot of money if you're successful, but it isn't. I wouldn't say Mother Teresa has a lot of money.
Okay.
But she's a pretty successful lady. So it's...
okay, so that barrier to success...
Well, there's a couple of them.
Okay.
I think there's two barriers. One is our conditioning. The conditioning that takes place in our subconscious mind from the time we're infants. All we can do is act and talk like the people around us. That's why we learn the language we learned. If there was 10 languages spoken in our home, we'd learn 10 languages without any trouble. There's usually one, and that's the only one we ever learn. And we grow older and we think, oh, I couldn't learn another language. We could learn 100 if we wanted to. You can do anything. But I think we're conditioned. We have a real strong conditioning, usually with not some very good ideas. And then that's the barrier that's inside us. The one that's outside of us is our environment. We have a tendency to act like everybody around us. And if you think about this, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because if you study statistics, 95% of the people live their entire life and never live the way they want to live.
Takeaways? Can you guys hear me fine?
Yes.
Emotional impacts for anybody this morning?
Maybe people were going on thought trips because I went on one and really didn't hear it. So maybe it has to be replayed again.
Yeah. Yeah, we take a lot of thought trips. I was going to rewind it. I want to see if takeaways at the moment.
To me, the two barriers that he's mentioned were just the conditioning and the environment. It's really learning to separate yourself from that and asking yourself who I am is. And if you're really asking that, you're realizing that everything that's been told to you that you are, somebody else has created that. So for myself, it's recreating the person that I can best connect with, that I want to be, that I feel that I am, and Spirit guides me into that. I feel for myself that I am a teacher in a different way. I'm always trying to provide more knowledge, but just to gain a better sense of myself and let go of the things that really I've learned and picked up in my environment from growing up as a little girl to the woman that I am now, and letting go of those things that do not serve me because it was programmed into me, and really getting that connection to what Spirit is telling me I am, and just listening to that and really tapping into that.
So it's a wonderful thing when you really begin to understand.
I found interesting when he said a lot of people trying to finding an answer from an external, and they will never found because they have to know it themselves, and the answer is inside. It's to know yourself.
Man's chief disillusion is thinking that there are things outside of himself.
I have another takeaway, Abraham, when you said that what we are right now is not our true I am that we are. Right now we are result of our program, the environment that we burn and everything. And this kicked me hard because it's really true. We are high potential to be whatever we want. And what we live right now is a result of the program that we've been programmed through the life. So it's really powerful that when you aware of this and you're aware that your reality, you can create it whatever you want. You have to do it. Whatever you want, you have to do it.
Well said. There must be a change in consciousness before you can have a change in your outside world. The shift must be from within. That's power.
What I was taking away was when man is thinking, he works hard. When spirit is thinking, everything works.
Yeah. That's very true as well.
Well, it's learning to get out of your own way and listen to spirit, connect with that.
Yeah. But again, how do you know? How do we know these things whenever we've been so conditioned to look outside of ourselves and to think outside of ourselves and to see outside of yourself and to hear outside of yourself and to listen outside of yourself?
I think
Feel
how you know is spirit's always guiding you. And when you connect to what it is telling you to connect with, you feel that sense of happiness, that smile comes on your face because it's letting you know you're going in the right direction. So that's how you know when you're connecting to that better version of yourself.
So when do people really change?
They got to seek it and want it.
Emotional.
You got to first want to be bigger than yourself. So powerful. You must first want to be different than yourself. That's what
There's so much truth in that. And there are things that even that when you see that you're changing and you're moving and things around you are staying stagnant, even that you can't look outside of yourself and say, okay, I want to change that about a certain person because they got to want it. You can't want it for them. So it's that realization that you're in control of you and where you're going, whether things around you are going to either gravitate with you and move with you or separate from you. It's an understanding of you're going to different places and understanding those laws and understand that you either connect and go to a thing or a person or whatever that's in that same vibration as to where you're going, or it separates itself from where you used to be. And it's just understanding that.
And understanding what's been separating you from what you truly want.
Yes.
That's that duality that I was talking about earlier. The duality was in our consciousness. We didn't understand the duality, but the duality was the conscious and subconscious mind. Conscious mind, our intellect says, I want, but the subconscious mind is what rules the body and it rules the physical world. The subconscious is the dual part of ourselves. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So that duality is the part that, and that's that law. People were talking about this law of attraction. There's no law of attraction. Law of attraction is the result. It's a result of the law of vibration. So the law of vibration that's inside of us, that's the law that's creating the law of attraction. Attraction is just a result. It's a response to the way we think. The better understanding that we have about ourselves and the thing to be dealt with, the better we understand what we need to work on, where we need to work. Do it, don't do it. Have it, don't have it. Be good, don't be good. Positive idea, negative idea. You can do it, you can't do it. So it was last week, we were going about who's my imagination, and I was talking about having a better understanding of who I am as, and being able to condition your own thinking, to begin to think about what you're thinking about, and to begin to be able to tell yourself, change with me, right? Now then the duality begins to cease, because the personality begins to understand, well, if I am my personality is creating my personal reality, then I can condition my own way of thinking to say, well, wait a minute, there's a higher side of my personality, which is spiritual personality, and there's a lower side of my personality, which is the conditioned personality. Then those two can know each other and say, wait a minute, does this serve me? Do we want to continue the conflict or the duality? Or do we want to say, wait a minute, change your way of thinking, change with me? So when you're, for months, I've been talking about intervention. Who is my imagination? Who's thinking? To intervene means to intervene in your own thoughts. Intervention is a consciousness of a higher order intercepting the thoughts and keeping consciousness in the forefront of thought. Now, if we can intervene and say, wait a minute, who's my imagination? Wait a minute, who's thinking? Does that serve me? And then the body will say, no, you've been doing this over and over again, and you understand yourself. Do we want to continue to experience this reality? Now, then condition the mind to accept the idea that we're thinking. And say, does this serve me? Body, the way you've been thinking, is this truly what you truly desire? Do you want to keep experiencing this? And you can say, change with me, change yourself. I think this produces a more coherent, progressive cooperation. I'm going to rewind this. Now, listen to understand.
You attended seminars, and you said your reason there was to learn more about yourself.
Yeah.
My experience has been people attend seminars, especially self-development seminars, to look for the answer. They want to know, what is it out there I can learn so that I can be more successful? That wasn't your motivation?
No, oddly enough. And I think probably you're right. I think that's what most people are looking for. I think they're looking for an answer outside of themselves, and they're never going to find it. I think by this time I realized it was something in me. I met a man here in Toronto. He was one that originally got me involved in studying this, Ray Stanford. And he told me if I didn't like the results I was getting in my life, that I was going to have to change me because they were my results. And he said, if you're going to change you, you're going to have to find out something about yourself. And that seemed to make sense. I don't think it was an earth-shattering idea. It wouldn't give anybody a brain hernia, but it made a hell of a lot of sense to me. So I started to study myself. I found most people don't know who they are. They really don't.
What do you mean? I mean, I know my name, I know my age, I know where I live.
That's not
What
you,
else
though.
is there?
You know, that's
what
just
size,
it. If you ask the average person who they are, they'll give you their name. They'll say, I'm Bob Proctor, but I'm not. Bob and Proctor are two words. My parents give them to me. They're called names, but it's not me. It's my name. Then somebody will say, well, this is me, but this isn't me either. It's my body. Like, you never phone down here to the studio and say, body won't be in today. It's sick.
Okay.
You know, we don't say am hand or am leg. It's my hand, my leg, my body, my name. Who am I? Well, that's an interesting question. And I believe if a person will start to study that and look for the answer, they'll find it.
At the very beginning of this, I went to the I ams. The I am that I think that you think I am. The I am that I think I am and I am not. And the I am that the environment has created. Now, this whole month, we're going into organized planning. When you really begin to take those I am factors, and then every now and then we get a hint, just a hint of the true I am, but we never really respond or cooperate with it. Normally, we don't work with that I am. Who has been organizing and planning my life?
Yourself.
Which I am.
The one that's absorbing the outside circumstances.
Yeah. It's so important. We're going into organized planning. But when you really, truly become honest with yourself, to yourself, about yourself, you begin to understand that something or something else, someone else, has been thinking stuff into form, organized planning my reality. Organized planning. Who's been organizing and planning? Let's look at this again. Watch.
You attended seminars, and you said your reason there was to learn more about yourself.
Yeah.
My experience has been people attend seminars, especially self-development seminars, to look for the answer. They want to know, what is it out there I can learn so that I can be more successful? That wasn't your motivation?
No, oddly enough. And I think probably you're right. I think that's what most people are looking for. I think they're looking for an answer outside of themselves, and they're never going to find it. I think by this time I realized it was something in me. I met a man here in Toronto. He was one that originally got me involved in studying this, Ray Stanford. And he told me if I didn't like the results I was getting in my life, that I was going to have to change me because they were my results. And he said, if you're going to change you, you're going to have to find out something about yourself. And that seemed to make sense. I don't think it was an earth-shattering idea. It wouldn't give anybody a brain hernia, but it made a hell of a lot of sense to me. So I started to study myself. I found most people don't know who they are. They really don't.
What do you mean? I mean, I know my name, I know my age, I know where I live.
That's not
what
you,
else
though.
is there?
You know, that's
what
just
size,
it. If you ask the average person who they are, they'll give you their name. They'll say, I'm Bob Proctor, but I'm not. Bob and Proctor are two words. My parents give them to me. They're called names, but it's not me. It's my name. Then somebody will say, well, this is me, but this isn't me either. It's my body. Like, you never phone down here to the studio and say, body won't be in today. It's sick.
Okay.
You know, we don't say am hand or am leg. It's my hand, my leg, my body, my name. Who am I? Well, that's an interesting question. Mm-hmm. And I believe if a person will start to study that and look for the answer, they'll find it. See, I think we live simultaneously on three planes of understanding. We're spiritual creatures, we have an intellect, and we live in physical bodies.
Okay.
But because we lack awareness or understanding of who we are, we're totally locked into a physical world, and we let things outside of us control us. 95% of the population are reacting to life. They're not really living at all.
Okay. And would you call that one of the barriers to success?
Oh, there's no question about it. I think there's two barriers. Success is a funny word. Nightingale had a great definition for it. He said a person's successful if they know where they are, and they know where they're going, and they're progressively moving in that direction. He said that success...
Thoughts? Takeaways?
The majority of the world is looking for validation outside themselves to what they think, or let's say who they think they should be, instead of saying, who do I want to be?
Yeah, but even that's correct. But that validation is not even thinking about what it's thinking about from what position it thinks it is.
Or like, okay, thinking what they should do, others' opinions to point them in the right direction.
Yeah, they don't really look inside. They don't evaluate who has been thinking. They don't know who's been thinking. They didn't even know that this mental program or this environment is what's been thinking. That's been organizing, planning, orchestrating, executing their life. That program's been experiencing itself outside of itself. Majority of people's lives have been the environment, the beliefs that have been experiencing itself outside of itself until it wakes up.